Hello, this is the Mind Killer, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I've been playing this new game Prophecy and really enjoying it, so I thought I'd try my hand at some helpful content. The game's still in the pre-alpha stage, so you might not have even heard of it, yet alone given it a shot. But this video is a collection of 5 things I wish I knew before I started playing. Tip number 1, leaders grow as you grow. You might notice in this game that once you get your leader, you never really interact with him or her again. Although units you place on the field get upgrades, items, and traits, but not the leader. That's because the leader grows as you grow. Your leader gains new stats as you level up, but most importantly, your leader gains all the trait bonuses of your entire team. Whether you have 6 different traits or just a couple really powerful ones, your leader has them too. There's not a whole lot in the game that would tell you this. There's a tooltip on a loading screen, but I didn't see that until after I had figured this out. A great way to test it is with the trait Sanctuary. Sanctuary gives you a health shield on the units that have it activated, so when they have it, your leader does too, and you can see the purple shield on his health bar. Tip number 2. Always 2 there are. This is tip number 2 because it's all about the number 2, which is a very important number in Prophecy. For one thing, you can only be eliminated from the game in pairs. Losing doesn't necessarily mean you've lost. And this is one of my favorite parts about Prophecy, the comeback mechanic. If you get knocked down below 1 health and the other person in your game not doing well manages to eke out a victory, you can play for another round. You get a full bag of money and a chance to upgrade at the shop for one more fight. And it might just give you what you need to get back into the swing of things. Also, traits only activate when you've found at least 2 of them that match. This isn't blatantly obvious at first either, so if you haven't played a game or 2 yet but you're eager to get into it, just keep that in mind. Not only do they first work when you have 2, they also upgrade as you add more pairs, up to 6 traits total. You can have an odd number like 3 or 5, but you won't get the upgraded version until you add another one to get 4 or 6. One trait does nothing, but it's sometimes good to grab one anyway, just in case you find his brother. Tip number 3. Treat yourself. Spend your money, don't hold on to it. You're not saving up for anything, every coin left unspent is wasted. You'll always get the max coin you're eligible for, which increases with each new round until there's a max of 10 coins every round. And even if you can't afford anything or don't want to buy what's there, that coin is another reroll with a chance to give you something new you didn't know you needed. You can also buy and hold individual items to spend money, even if you can't use that item yet. If you want to lock the shop to keep it from rerolling after the end of the round because there's an upgrade you need but can't afford, but you still have like 1 or 2 coins left, buy the useless things and do something with them. Drop the trait you don't really want on a unit with a spare slot. That way, even though the shop is locked, those empty spots will be filled with something new. And you can always replace the traits eventually. You're going to lose that coin anyway, so there's nothing really lost, and you get a chance at something useful. Tip number 4. Unit upgrades versus unit rarity. Gray is less than green, is less than blue, is less than purple, is less than orange. If you've ever played a game like this, an RPG, or even some battle royales, then you understand this concept. The more rare the color, the more valuable the unit. They often have much better base stats and can be upgraded to add even more. Whatever units you end up with, you always want to be on the lookout for star upgrades. Every star adds to your unit's stats and you get a special bonus on the class of the unit. Hunters get 10% more attack speed, assassins get 10% physical crit chance, fighters gain physical protections, mages get mana, and tanks get even more health. It's important not to get stuck on 1 star, but it's also important to keep in mind that the more rare units are generally more valuable. You might be pretty happy having upgraded that common gray unit to 3 stars, but chances are the 1-star purple is still going to be a better option, especially if you can upgrade it in the future. However, you don't always have to be dead set on upgrading. Sometimes the unit's ability makes up for its lack of rarity. For example, Jingwei and Apollo are both considered top hunters for their abilities, even though they're uncommon units, the green units. Apollo's burst of attack speed is really good, especially since he gains more attack speed when upgraded. And if you're using traits that can create an effect off that attack speed, then Apollo can do a lot of damage. For example, I have a clip of the enemy Thanatos, the enemy's leader, going directly for my Apollo at the start of the round. Apollo puts down the Thanatos because he's a 5-star upgrade and he can both stun and disarm thanks to the tech and earth traits that I was running. He basically kept the Thanatos CC'd until death. It's also worth noting that a unit upgraded to 5 stars gets a much bigger bonus than the first 4 upgrades. You're going to have a much bigger chance of getting a 5-star upgrade with a unit that you pick up early, which means it'll most likely be a common or uncommon unit. That's just one of the many decision-making processes you'll have to go through as you play the game. Here's a bit of a bonus tip for you. If you hold your mouse over the unit number at the top of the screen, the same spot that sometimes says battle or waiting, you can actually see the odds of you getting rarer and rarer units. And as you level up, those odds increase. Tip number 5, physical versus magical. Pay special attention to this tip if you're a Smite player wanting to try out this game because it borrows so heavily from the Smite IP. While your knowledge of Smite will certainly make you familiar with a lot of what you're seeing and help you somewhat in adapting to this new game, it will actually fail you here. It's actually a mindset you're going to have to change because Prophecy defines physical and magical damage very differently. At the most basic level, physical damage comes from auto attacks, and magical damage comes from abilities. In Smite, these characteristics are separated by class. Assassins do physical damage, mages do magical damage. That's not the case in Prophecy. Most units in Prophecy do at least a little bit of both physical and magical. Some are much stronger at one than the other, and it'll be up to you to learn how each unit excels. But if you're coming from Smite, you'll want to remember it's possible for some mages to do mostly physical damage. Dryad, for example, has a non-damaging ability, so she only hits with physical auto attacks. A mage with a strong AoE ability might have a few hundred physical damage points, but he's going to do mostly magical. Whereas an attack speed focused hunter will be physical, even if he has a magical ability like Anhur's Spear Throw. Although early on, Anhur's Spear Throw probably does a bit more damage than his physical attacks. One major exception to this rule is units with pets. Pets do physical damage, even though it requires mana to summon them. So Skadi uses magic to summon Calder, but Calder hits with physical damage, and so do Skadi's basic attacks, giving her only physical damage. Same with Arachne's spiders. Apwash is similar. His zombies are summoned with physical damage, but they explode when they're killed, and that explosion does magical damage. King Arthur is also an exception because the damage caused by his execute doesn't seem to count as either physical or magical in the recap. But that's okay because his ridiculous ability doesn't need any trait bonuses anyway. And that's it for this video. I hope these 5 tips help you as you start your Prophecy journey. Obviously, some of the things about specific units and gods are probably going to change as they develop this game, since it's so early in development. But a lot of this will still generally be useful for a long time to come. Please let me know any feedback that you have in the comments below. Thank you.